My name is BioEX1, and I'm going to attempt to rank all 12 Halloween movies from worst to best. Let's get this party started. Yo, what's going on, my BioManiacs? BioEX1 is back in the house once again. Today, I'm going to attempt something that I've never done before, and that's ranking all movies. So, since Halloween's around the corner, what's a better time to rank all 12 Halloween movies from worst to best? And after I rank all the Halloween movies, I want you people to comment in the comment section what movies you want me to rank next, right after I finish ranking all 12 Halloween movies. I am planning to do this from right now to the future because I want to bring something new to the content. And also, before I rank these movies, I just want to inform each and every one of you people that these rankings that I'm going to show you and my choices are not facts. They're honest opinions. My rankings is not your rankings or anyone else's rankings. Also, it's perfectly fine that each and every one of you have your own opinions on movies. By the way, let me just turn on this light, see if the lighting is better. There, that's a little better, even though it shows a bit yellow, but the lighting is still perfectly fine. So anyway, let's just get to the rankings right now. Coming in number 12, in last place, this is not the worst movie I've ever seen, but when it comes to the Halloween series, it's definitely the weakest. And number 12 is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This movie is weak, and when I mean weak, meaning is really not that good. It's not actually the worst movie that I have ever seen, but compared to the other Halloween movies, it's not that good. I mean, there are some positives, which I will get to right now before I get to the negatives. So let's just start with the positive first. Jamie is back. Dr. Loomis is back. Some of the scenes in the movie, pardon me about that phone vibrating, some of the scenes from the movies, that is something new we haven't seen before. Just a few things that are something new. Not everything, but just a few things here there's new. The last part of the movie when Jamie, she's in the vent. She was trying to fight off Michael Myers and try to escape from him in this house. And at the end, Michael Myers, he got caught by Dr. Loomis. The ending part is like really cool. That he had to fight Michael with a little help of Jamie. He tied up Michael Myers with a chain, from one of his brilliant traps because, he's a smart person, especially from the previous movies. He really beat up Michael Myers until he was down for the count. And he got Michael Myers in jail. And that's pretty much all the good stuff about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, there are a lot of negatives in this movie. The movie was rushed, which that's why I saw her behind the scenes. It was rushed because Halloween 4, which mostly fan favorites, which I definitely agree, the movie is great. They want to continue the story from what they left off of 4 and 5. But again, they pretty much rushed it because they only have very little time. And plus, the end of the 80s is almost finished because it was like 88 or 89. Also, one of the bad parts about the movie is Jamie's a mute. I'm sorry, she is. I don't understand what these people behind the scenes were thinking, that they take a great actor like Jamie from part 4 and turn her into a mute from part 5. It just makes her not only unwatchable, but you just can't take her seriously, especially some of the random words she says, like poop or shoe or blah, 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 blah. Sorry, you know what I mean, right? I mean, she's a mute. I mean, she don't really talk much on this one compared to part 4. And one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people are talking about, which I totally 100% agree, is that they killed off one of the best characters from Halloween 4. I forgot what is that girl's name, but she was one of the best characters in Halloween 4, and they replaced her with Tina. Now, I will admit, Tina, she is very annoying, but she's not all that bad what a lot of people think she is. There are some good in her, you know. There are some good scenes, some scenes with her in some movies, you know, helping Jamie to get away from Michael from car scenes in the woods when they were chasing Tina and Jamie from the woods to try to get to this house before Tina was killed. Again, you know, as annoying Tina is, she's not, you know, really all that bad. But I think the boyfriend that Tina was going out with, I believe he's just as annoying as she is. That is why I said, as bad as Tina is, and too from a lot of people how bad Tina is, she's really not the worst character. The cops in those movies, those two goofball cops that were like kind of like Shaggy and Scooby, they weren't that impressive, to be honest with you. I didn't really like them that much. I mean, yeah, at first in the beginning of the movies when they, you know, walk off the house, you know, with the funny duck cartoon noise effect, right? Like do dee. I mean, that was funny at first, right? And you know, but later on, like in the movie, they got really bland. They went from entertaining cops to bunch of pointless characters. And before I get to the next one, I just want to inform you that they make Dr. Loomis more like a whack job here compared to any other Halloween movies, because right after the traumatic accident that happened in part 4 when excuse me, sorry, that was my burp, that was burp again. Right after the traumatic accident that happened in part 4 when Jamie turned into the clown again, he just totally freaked out. And he continued freaking out in part 5 that it was just so bad that Jamie was afraid of Dr. Loomis a lot more than he was afraid than Michael Myers. And to me, that's kind of a red flag. That's really not a good look at Dr. Loomis. I don't know if it was his idea or it was the Hollywood's idea, the director's idea. That part I don't know, but they really make Dr. Loomis like so unlikable in part 5 compared to all the other Halloween movies. And that is like a ball drop in my book. If you make a character, one of the good characters, looks and sound like a complete psycho more than the main character of Michael Myers. So that I didn't like. Coming in number 11th, just by a razor thin, and that is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. This is another piece of trash movie that I probably not might watch it ever again. You know, when it comes to 5 and 6, I will probably not going to watch it again as a regular occasion, but when it comes to a marathon, I will probably watch it, but not like a regular occasion. This is another disappointing movie in my book. In fact, this movie actually not only pissed me off more than part 5, but probably pissed me off than any other Halloween movie that I have ever watched. It even pissed me off more than Halloween Kills. As Halloween Kills is a great movie, but it does have some negatives. But let's just start with the positives first. The town, the setting, the atmosphere of it and where it took place, fantastic, perfect. I really like the atmosphere. I really like the fall settings. You know, it's just so Halloween. It's just so fallish. The kills in this one were way better than part 5. I do like some of the hospital scenes. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It wasn't better than the one from part 2. The one from part 2 was way better. But the hospital scene was pretty reasonable. The characters in this movie are actually likable. Some characters. What was it? There's Tommy Jarvis that play Friday the 13th Part 6. Yeah, he's a cool character. I had no problems with him. And, you know, his friend, his female friend, she's likable as well. I forgot their names because, again, I am not good at names, you know, and there's like so many things in this movie. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in part 5 that at the end there was some guy that wearing like all black suit, like playing Men in Black, which, by the way, he is also in part 6. And, you know, speaking of the guy in the Men in Black outfit, right? Let's just get on to the negatives because there's a lot of things I have problems with this movie. The first 10-15 minutes in this movie is so effed up that one of the best characters, Jamie, which, by the way, just to inform you behind the scenes, that is not the original Jamie that plays part 4 and 5. That is like a different side character because Jamie read the script of how Halloween 6 is going to go and she seriously hated it. So she wants out of it. She doesn't want nothing to do with this rape scene that happened for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, which not only that Michael raped her, but she actually put her in one of these this spinning thing. I forgot what's this called. One of those tractor spinning things, and it just makes it extremely uncomfortable, and not in a good way, in a very bad way. Now, if it was like some random stranger, I mean, I probably would have been okay with that. But Jamie, what the freak were they thinking? Like, damn. Michael Myers, according to Michael Myers, the reason why he always comes back to life because of some whole religious cult, which it never was mentioned for the previous 5 movies that they never talked about, but all of a sudden part 6 that, oh, Michael's come to life because of some religious cult keeps bringing him up to life. Now, I know I said before that I don't mind that they bring in something new to the series, but they probably should have thought something a little bit better. And somewhere like in the middle of the scene, there was some kind of blinking light that will cause you a seizure during the hospital scene. Oh, and one of the worst parts, maybe the worst part in Halloween history, they make Dr. Loomis go out like a little girl screaming in pain. This is the same person who has love and passion for the Halloween movie, and they disgraced him so bad, especially from that last part. And the director's cut was even worse. Like, he has some tattoo in his arm and he was just screaming like a little girl. But they should have done something better with Dr. Loomis in the end, because this was his opportunity to shine, and the execution was very poorly. In fact, the execution in that movie was just as worse than Halloween Kills, which I will get to that later though. It's a great movie, but again, I'll get to that later. Again, really piss poor performance. I did not like it whatsoever, and they really dropped the ball. And another bad thing about this movie, probably why I'm not going to watch it on regular occasion, is that it took 3 directors to make this movie, and yet it was still incomplete because they keep fighting each other. That is why Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers is on number 11. It's still slight is better than part 5, but it's still a garbage ass movie. But anyway, moving on, number 10, which pretty much everyone will put it in last place, and that is Halloween Resurrections. Now, I get it, people. The movie sucked. Yes, I understand. And I totally agree. It's really not that good at all because, again, the movie got some red flags whatsoever. But let's just get to the good part first, okay? The reason why I put this on number 10 and not in last place because there are actually a lot of good stuff in that movie, despite the death of Laurie Strode in the beginning of the movie, which that's the bad part, which I'll get to that later. One of the reasons why I put this on number 10 over the others, they got, well, I can't say they got, excuse me. Well, I just can't say they got good casting because honestly, as great as Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks was in their own shows and their own, music and other movies, they weren't that good in Halloween Resurrection. I know they didn't spend that much money making on the movie because the location was in one part. House, everything was all abandoned, kind of like this move. Kind of like these two other games, Outlast and Resident Evil, when you go to these dark houses and places and everything's all dark and abandoned. But later on, they really found out that someone else was in it, and that's Michael Myers himself. The kills in this movie were great. Yes, bad storyline, bad acting, average actors, but the kills was great. And as much as everyone hate the last part with Busta Rhymes and Michael Myers, when Busta Rhymes came on Michael Myers and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to be Michael Myers. You do what you do and get back over there." And this whole kung fu thing, to be honest with you, as much as a lot of people, or pretty much everyone, hates that scene, I find it still entertaining and fun to watch. I mean, the movie, it's still bad, but it's entertainingly bad. The movie's no masterpiece, I understand that though, and it's not that great. But again, due to the house scenes and all the people from the party, right? They were having a good time enjoying the party, and then one by one, they go to this one room and they saw like the theaters thing, because it's funny because when they first started this whole research house situation, right? It was just two people, and then slowly, the people from the party, they were having a good time, and then one by one, they saw what was going on, so they just walked in there to see what was going on, and they went from 2 people to 4 people to 5 people to like 60 people in this one little room, right, watching of what's been going on, because they all thought it was a prank at first, but then they kind of thought it was like serious. It's still watchable in my book. It's still watchable. Despite the problem it is, it's still watchable. I'll probably watch it again as a regular time, but it's really not. Despite the problems of, especially the death of Laurie Strode and Tyra Banks and Busta Rhymes' bad acting and his bad kung fu scenes, right? I'd rather watch that movie again on regular basics, especially more than the last 2 I mentioned on the list. So, Halloween Resurrection on number 10. Number 9. Let's start with controversial. Halloween H2O. Now, I get it, people. A lot of you will put this high on a list. Most of you put it on the top 3 on the list. Let me tell you why that I put Halloween H2O number 9. I understand the ending was just perfect at all, and yes, I get that. The ending in the movie was perfect, but it got way too many problems. But let's just get to the good first, okay? Let's just start with the good part of the movie. First of all, the opening of the movie, very hyped up, very energetic. The kills with the 2 teenage boys and I forgot what's that girl's name, but she was in one of the original Halloween sequels. I think she was in like part 1 or part 2, but she was in H2O and she got killed. But one of my favorite kills in this movie. Perhaps maybe my favorite kill is the one that Michael put like an ice skate in on the boy's face, which that looks very, very brutal and badass. I like that scene a lot. It's horrifying, it's scary, but it was awesome. The beginning was hyped up, it was awesome. H2O, 20 years later, somewhere like almost like in the middle of the movie, there was like a mother and child going to some bathroom in the middle of some highway, some I-95 or the tunnel highway or something like that. Well, I meant tunnel, not like an underground tunnel, like it's something called like A1A upper tunnel road, like a clear road with like very little to no stores on it. When a mother and child went to the bathroom, they realized that Michael, which they didn't know at first, but I'm sure that pretty much 99.9% of you that watched H2O knew that that was Michael Myers, right? Scaring those two, hijacked their car and ran out there. And by the way, spoiler alert, the mother and the child did not got killed. They were horrified, but when they knew their car ran off, they were perfectly safe. Even though the mother of the child, this woman did lose her car, but she didn't got killed. So thank goodness for that. Laurie Strode, she's a teacher from a campus or a university. The characters are actually very much likable, but there was this one character that I will probably mention later that didn't want to play any more Halloween movies, which I'll get to that part later. I like the campus or the university scene, like how it all started. Laurie Strode, she's still, paranoid and traumatized a bit, from what happened 20 years ago, especially for the first two Halloween movies. Laurie Strode, she fought Michael Myers. The fighting is still pretty legitimate, and the chase scene, I think from the fight scenes to the chase scenes was just awesome. The ending was just awesome. And at the end, right, which they should have stopped the movie from here on this one. When they crashed, Michael was trapped under a car and he couldn't get out. And Laurie Strode just grabbed an axe and cut his head off, and it was awesome. And they should have ended the Halloween sequels from there. Now, let me get to my negatives in this movie. As perfect as the ending is, right? This movie has tons and tons and tons and tons of problems. Not only the plot and the storyline, but Michael Myers himself. Let me start off with Michael Myers for 1 second. In this movie is by far the worst Michael Myers character looking I've ever seen in my life. It was bad. It's like they don't even try. They probably got his outfit and mask from the 99-cent store so they could save up money, and they were like, okay, to the character who played Michael Myers, here you go. And by the way, the eyes look a little bigger, so you can actually see where you're going at, because it's going to be very dark inside where you're going to be killing at. So, and a lot of people saying that the digital mask, right, that looks bad though, but the one that really looks really bad, and it's the worst looking mask, is the one when Laurie Strode, when she shut the door right in front of Michael, and this little circle window on it, and you see his eyeballs. That is the worst looking mask ever. To be honest with you, that mask right there is actually just as worse than the digital one. In fact, behind the scenes, and it was true, there's actually 4 different masks. 4 different masks in one movie, Halloween H2O. How is that possible? 4 masks? Like, what the hell were the studios were smoking when they were making this movie? Damn, this is why I put it number 9. If you want to put this higher in the list, then by all means, though. But this movie has a lot of problems. And another problems I find out this movie, I know, like I said, Lori was traumatized and stuff, and she wants to move on from it. The plot and the storyline, somewhere from right when Michael hijacked the car from this mother and child driving to the university, right after that scene, when Michael got to the university, from here to pass halfway of the middle of the movie, it was just so boring. It was boring. Right after the hyped up in the beginning with the face mask kill with the rollerblades and a hijack car, right after the hijack car, it was a snooze fest. I fall asleep. Like, I seriously fall asleep at the middle of the movie. And another thing, even though I did say, I totally forgot what it was. I know he said that he didn't want to play that move any parts anymore. Dang, I just totally forgot what it was. I totally forgot what it was. And, well, and that's about it. That's all I'm about to say. I mean, it was okay, but the middle part is the reason why it went down to number 9, and the character, the guy who plays the son, never want to play another Halloween movie ever again or be part of it because of what really happened to it. And wow, that's really about it. I got nothing else to say. Will I watch this movie again in regular time? Maybe. I mean, I know I say Resurrection was entertainingly bad. The reason why I put H2O over Resurrection, because H2O has a factual storyline, because, you know, during that time, Halloween 3, 4, 5, and Halloween 6 never really existed when they made Halloween H2O. It was Halloween 1, 2, and Halloween H2O, and that's about it. Like, the last 4 before it came out, they just want to erase and pretend it just never exists. I understand, like, it was back in the late 90s and they had that 90s style, and I believe that the movie that started it all to make that Halloween late 90s style is Scream. And I believe The Faculty and Urban Legends follow up. And even though The Valentine was made in the early 2000s, but it was made well. One last thing, I felt like H2O wasn't really a Halloween movie. I thought it was like a TV show series for teenagers. Not that it's a bad thing, you know, but that's why I felt Halloween H2O felt like. It felt like a TV show horror movies for teenagers that's rated PG-13 or PG. That's why I felt like Halloween H2O. Is that a bad thing? No, but that's why I see Halloween H2O. The only good thing about H2O was the beginning and the ending part. That's about it. The middle part sucks. If they would have cut some of the cut scenes off the middle part, then I would have been satisfied with it. Other than that, that's what it is. That's what it stays. Halloween H2O, number 9. Now, before I get to number 8, I just want to inform you, from number 8 to higher are the movies that I really enjoy, and I will watch it over and over and over again. Even movies that are number 8, 7 to 6, they're still great movies, and I'll still watch it again. Coming in number 8 is Halloween 2009, or Halloween 2, from Rob Zombie. I really like this movie a lot. Before I get to the negatives, which is really not much negatives, let's start the positives. Rob Zombie at first never wanted to make part 2 or part 2009 because he was very exhausted from making the first film, the first Halloween that came on back in 2007. But the Hollywood decided to let Rob Zombie do his way instead and not the Hollywood's way. So it's changed off for Rob Zombie. He can do whatever he wants, so he can decide how many people will Michael Myers wants to kill. And let me tell you something right now. As good as the Michael Myers in 2018 and Halloween Kills is, the Rob Zombie Michael Myers is still, to this very day, my favorite Michael Myers ever. And that's just my honest opinion. It all started in the hospital when Laurie, she was rushed to the hospital because of what happened from the first one. Michael Myers was actually following her because when they checked what was going on with the house, Michael's body wasn't even there during the scene. When Laurie was recovered, Michael Myers broke into the hospital and started slashing people, which I will get to that later. But right after they found out it was all a dream, Laurie, she's trying her best to recover and just forget the past, what was going on. And she did make new friends, which, to be honest with you, I like the friends that she had, back in 2007. Professor Drum Dumps, I believe that's his name. He was a prick in part 2 compared to the first one. I believe why he's like that, because he let this fame went over his head, especially the book that he made about Michael Myers, the evil something. I forgot what it was. Just so many in my head. I've noticed that a lot of people didn't really like the book because they all believed that he was the one that let Michael Myers kill all those people, especially the ones that are outside, like the two hillbilly truck drivers and that owner from the stripper club who Michael Mothers, who used to work at. But the ending was so-so. Oh, and by the way, before I get to the bad part, I just want to say that the casting in part 2, including the first one, were great. Because the final part of the movie, when everyone's surrounded this old bar house, and I'm surprised that everyone has not talked about this, but Carl freaking Winslow from Family Matters is in this movie. That's right, he's in this movie, and a lot of people don't even mention about this person. Like, why? This is Carl Winslow. This guy is a mastermind cop, especially from the Die Hard series. Mostly Die Hard 1, because Die Hard 2, they put him in a side character. But still, this is Carl Winslow from Family Matters. Come on, people. How do you don't know that Carl Winslow is in this movie? This is what I like about Rob Zombie movies. The castings are phenomenal. Probably one of the best castings in Halloween history. Dr. Drum Dumb, who's a complete douchebag in the second one, he comes in trying to confront Michael. Michael kills him, and Laurie Strode was sentenced to the mental institute, which is a totally rip-off of Psycho. Rob Zombie was like, F you to the fans who criticized my first movie, which, by the way, I really think Halloween 2007 is a great movie, which I will get to that in a moment. Now, the negatives really are not much. The storyline in part 2 was a bit bland. Some talk scenes were kind of pointless to watch. That's about it. That's really about it. I got nothing else to say. Thought that the storyline was a bit bland. They should have cut some scenes off. The party scene was kind of like a rated R version of part 5. The two characters, the two new friends that Laurie hangs out, they're really not that interesting compared to the first one. It's just my honest opinion, and that's about it. Halloween 2009 by Rob Zombie, number 8. Number 7. And this is the movie that I just watched recently, Halloween Kills. Before I get to the negatives, I just want to say that this is still a phenomenal movie, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Now, let's just get to the good part first. I know a lot of people is going to send me hate mails for putting this a little bit low on the list because some people put Halloween Kills on number, I don't know, like 4, 3, or even 2, like the second best. I mean, don't get me wrong, people. I really, really love this movie. I really do. And I will definitely watch it again. First, let's get to the good part. The first half of the movie in Halloween Kills was awesome. It was awesome. It was phenomenal. It was great. The killing, the bashing, the chaos, the riot. It reminds me of one of my favorite horror movies, Purge. That's what it reminds me of. It was great. Some of the characters are so-so. Some of them were good. Some of them were so-so. The second half of the movie, what really killed it, what bringing this low at number 7. On the first half of the movie, I thought it was going to be probably the second or at least third best movie on this list. But when I get to the second part, it was slowly dropping. Slowly. It didn't drop fast. It just slowly dropping. Like the more I watched it, slowly it was starting to drop. I mean, if you want to put this movie higher in the ranks, all power to you. Again, I do not hate this movie. I like this movie a lot. The execution of this movie was horrible. Not as bad as part 6, but close. It was close to that. It was very close to part 6, like the poorly execution. Will I watch it again? Absolutely, but it is still far from my best favorite movie. Halloween Kills, number 7. That's all about to say. Number 6 is Halloween 2007. This is Rob Zombie's first Halloween movie. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comment section for putting this one on top of Halloween Kills. I understand that. But to be fair, honest, there are a lot of awesome scenes in Rob Zombie 2007. Let's just get to the good part first. I really love the new direction idea that Rob Zombie to show the Michael Myers house, to show the family, to show the origin of the history. To be honest with you, I really like that because if it was very similar to the original Halloween, then it would be pretty much boring. It would have been boring and pointless. This whole origin of Michael having a white trash family, is having a dysfunctional family, that the family was just out of control. You know, the mental hospital, which I know is, you know, it was been done from the original, but to be honest with you, I really like the direction that they show inside the hospital, because remember the original movie, it only show outside part of the hospital, but it never show inside the part of the hospital. So that's a plus there. And I really like the third half of the movie, kind of like the original. In fact, I like the third part of the movie better than both the original and the 2018 part, which I will get to that later. The style, the atmosphere, the settings that took place, the killing, which I like the brutal kills from 2007 better than 2009 because it's like all kinds of different ways. Especially that fight scene with Joe Grizzly. By the way, shouts to Joe Grizzly. That's the same person who plays that pimp from The Devil's Reject. I like some of the kills when they in the mental hospital. Like he just broke the chain off and killed those police officer. And there was this one female police officer that plays this movie Police Academy. Michael grabbed his throat and just rip it right off. And oh man, that looks painful. I was like, damn. Before I move to the next one, I really want to get to the negatives, because even though there's a lot of pluses in that movie, but this movie also has problems as well. So here's the negatives. As much as I really like this origin idea, the first, I believe, 15 minutes of the movie is unwatchable. watchable. The origin story and the story with the parents, it's a great idea. But the way they make it and the dialogue and the script, the writing, it was horrific. And when I mean horrific, it was bad. It was lousy. Even though Rob Zombie is an awesome musician, but when it comes to movie writing, he has a lot of work to do on that one. Because, again, for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, it was totally unwatchable and painful to watch. Especially the way they argue at the dinner table. They were screaming fuck and cunt and whore and bitch and tramp. Wasn't there supposed to be like some kind of an assistant saying that, hey Rob Zombie, I think you should cut all that off because that doesn't look Rob Zombie didn't listen. He said, you know what, whatever. It's gonna stay. So yeah, it stayed alright. It stayed, screaming how many cunt words, which I have no problems using the word cunt because I use it myself, but god damn, you're going overboard with this. Again, I got nothing against Rob Zombie. His movies are still great. But again, he needs a little bit more of his writing. But somewhere at October 31st, Halloween night, from right there towards the end, that's when it gets really good. Like, you know how Halloween Kills, like in the beginning of the movie, it's like this, and then just slowly going downhill at the end? Well, Rob Zombie movie, the Halloween 2000 movie, it started off like this, but at Halloween night, all the way to the end, it just went like that. That's how great it is. That's why I put that movie on top of Halloween Kills in the rankings, because as good as Halloween Kills was, the execution in the end was very poor, while the execution in the end in Halloween 2007 was good. And by the way, speaking of terrible dialogue, the scenes when this kid's screaming and Laurie screaming, way too much. I'm sorry. Again, that's why I had to take away points. Oh, and Dr. Drum Dum, at least he's actually positive in this movie. He's not like a complete douchebag who let fame go over his head like the second one. But I really like Dr. Drum Dum for the first one, better, because he was a kind, loving person. He's trying to connect with Michael. He tried his best to help Michael, but Michael is just too psychotic. He's just too much of a psycho. Oh, and a nurse thing, as the unrated version cut makes sense, it's still very disturbing. That's one of the downsides, the unrated version. I forgot to mention that when he was in the mental hospital, this rape scene was just totally wrong. But at the same time, it makes sense. Because in the theatrical version, right, when the police officers, right, were in this one room and trying to get to another one, Mike, with these hard change, he just broke it out and just killed those 4 officers. In the unrated version, these 2 scumbags who work in a mental hospital, they just raped this poor girl. And while they were doing that, Michael killed both of those workers and he escapes. That's just my honest opinion there. But other than that, that's about it. I mean, this movie has a lot of both positives and negatives, but it still goes on number 6, Rob Zombie 2007. Coming in number 5 is Halloween 2018. Now, when I first saw this movie, I really have mixed thoughts about it, because the first 20 minutes of the movie, Laurie was just in a total mental breakdown, especially compared to Halloween H2O. Like, I know she was a little traumatized from H2O, which I actually like her there, despite of the boringness of that movie. But in Halloween 2018, they took her like way over the edge, and not only that, but some of the write-ins and the jokes are like very off from that movie. They were like vlogging and acting, and it just didn't really connect really good. The third act in the movie, it felt very forced, because I know in Halloween movies, when you're making so much movies, Like, especially if you get to your 11th movie or 12th movie, you gotta think and decide something new because everything was made before that was done. I understand that. I just thought it should have been a little bit better though. But the reason why I put Halloween 2018 on number 5, because there were actually a lot of new things and a lot different locations that was going on in this movie compared to the previous movies. Time out, I need to go have a drink of water. Okay, I'm back. So like I was saying, there were a lot of brand new situations was going on in the movie compared to the previous one, because I know Rob Zombie 2007 was pretty similar than the original but more brutal. Excuse me, Halloween 2018, they try to think and try to figure out something new because they don't want to go on that same step what they did on the previous Halloween movies before. So there was this scene that there was like a bus driver, crash, and Michael escaped, and then there was like a police officer getting accidentally shot by his own kid, and then Michael killed the kid, and Michael's just going around town just brutally just kill someone that he sees. He killed this annoying person who dressed like the devil, which, I don't know, some fat kid with the curly hair. Thank goodness that, because he was annoying. I know a lot of people like him, but I didn't really like him that much because I find him extremely annoying. I'm just saying. What else? The ending when Laurie Strode, she was in her security house, that fight with her and Michael was a lot better than the one from H2O. I mean, to tell you the truth, I know the one from H2O wasn't really that bad because, again, it was like 1998 and time back then was different. They don't try to do something really stupid crazy compared to right now, because that fight between Michael and Laurie was like, it was really beyond crazy, but it was awesome at the same time. But see, back then it was more traditional fight, so I can't really blame the studio for that, because back in the late 90s was different compared to right now. Right now, people want to see something new and more action to it, so that ending, especially that fight scene with Laurie and Michael, and the part that that this girl, I forgot what's her name, I think the daughter of Laurie, right? She got a shotgun, and when she sees Michael, she says, "I got you." Boom, shot him. Laurie Strode came up right behind Michael, pushed him down to the basement, and they trapped Michael, and they set her whole entire house on fire just to kill Michael Myers. And this happened like before Halloween Kills came out, and you know what happened the rest after that. But still, that would have been also another great ending right there. That is why I put Halloween 2018 number 5, because it actually has a lot of positives, a lot more than negatives. Even though a few things in this movie was like off vlog and forced, especially some of the killings in the beginning of the third one felt very forced. But again, they were like running out of ideas, which I don't really blame them though. They really try. But other than that, it is still watchable, and I'll definitely watch it again whatsoever. So Halloween 2018, number 5. Number 4 has got to be the most unappreciated Halloween movie I've ever seen, and I still don't understand to this very day why people hate this movie. And that is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. This movie is awesome. I don't really care what anybody says. Screw the haters, screw the Halloween community, screw them all. I enjoy Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. I understand what they're going for, because right after Halloween 2, the people from the studios want to take a different direction of a new Halloween sequel. They want to put something new, and that's understandable, and I see why they did it. I really like the direction. I really do. There's very little to no negatives from this movie. It could be a little bit slow in a few pace, but it's really not that bad. It's still watchable. Horrifying. There was another death scenes when Tom Atkins, which is the main actor, he just beat up one of the robots by jamming his fist down his stomach, and it's like yellow, gooey blood. Another scene where this guy in a suit killed Tom Atkins' co-worker by drilling a drill to her head. Another scene that this little boy mask just torn apart, and there was some cockroaches and rattlesnakes coming out. And the villain, I really like the villain in this movie. And by the way, the main villain in the movie, he played RoboCop 1 and 2. Again, awesome person. Very evil. His squad is like, he's the main person who runs the Silver Shamrock Corporation. And I think the one negative about this movie is like that song itself in the commercial gets really, really annoying. Yeah, that song. That song. But anyway, let's get on to the end of the movie. The ending was just priceless because when Tom Atkins dropped all those chips down the floor, the main villain was like, "You might win the battle, but we still won the war." And the ending, when Tom tried to get away from the town, he realized that girl that puts her as a sidekick, that he wants her as a new wife, she was a robot all this time, and she was trying to kill him, but he got away with it. And then he went to the nearest gas station, and he called a radio station to cancel all those commercials because they will kill, the kids that wear the mask. And after that, I think that was it. That was the credit. But I really enjoyed part 3 more than most of the Halloween movies with Michael Myers. And to all the people that were crying, complaining about, "Oh, I hate Halloween 3, City of the Witch, because they don't have Michael Myers," just shut the freak up, okay? If that's the only opinion you have, I don't even want to freaking hear it, okay? Just because they don't have Michael Myers in it, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's still a great movie. Hell, look at Friday the 13th Part 5. They don't have the original Jason in it, and it was still a great movie. Halloween 3 Season of Witch, number 4, and that's that. So all you people that was bitching and crying about, "Oh, do you not like Michael Myers?" Just shut up. You don't know nothing about Halloween movies. Just shut up, okay? All right then. Top 3. These 3 movies are masterpieces, and I will watch it over and over and over again. These 3 movies are 5 stars. Well, actually, from Halloween 2018 higher, they were like actually 5 stars. But again, these top 3s, again, I will never get tired watching it. I will watch it over and over again. So, comment number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I enjoyed this movie a lot. Even though I still like the cheesy wackiness of Halloween 3 Season of Witch, how cheesy it was. But Halloween 4 is like a pre-version of the 90s because, it was made in 1988. Jamie was her very first movie appearance of a Halloween movie, especially Part 4. This is a 5-year. This has got to be like the bravest 5-year-old I've ever seen in all movies, and no one can done it like Jamie. She wanted a brand new costume because she wants to celebrate Halloween and impress not only her family and want to have fun, but impress other people as well. And then she ran into Michael, who actually was in a coma for like 7 years. I mean, some people said it was 10, but it's actually 7 because Halloween 2 came out in 1981. Halloween 4 came out in 1988, so that's got to be 7 years. And yes, he actually passed the times that Halloween 3 Season of Witch, because during that movie was made, which it was like 1982, he was still in the coma. The atmosphere in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, was phenomenal. It's actually pretty much the same phenomenal settings as Halloween 6. Instead, Halloween 4 has a lot better storyline than part 6. 6, the atmosphere is great. It's that the storyline is shitty. But Halloween 4 is just like, it got everything. Michael Myers in a coma. Michael Myers woke up from the van and just killing those two ambulance people. Kill the driver and kill one of the workers. He escaped. Dr. Loomis came back after being survivably burned from part 2. He came back. He was looking, at first, he wanted to go back in town, but he had to stop in this gas station. And then he found out that people in the gas station died because Michael Myers was sitting there before. He was shocked when Michael Myers came back, and he was trying to talk about, but he wanted to kill him instead. After Michael Myers got away by driving a truck, Dr. Loomis found a driver, and he was like kind of hitchhiking, drove back to Hollenden because he knows that Michael will be there in that town. And he's actually looking for Jamie because Michael knows that that's his little niece. While Michael was in town, he decided to cut all the power off in town, which that's the first time. It was a very smart move by Michael. I really thought that was a great move. Got the whole entire town panicking. These hillbilly hunters, they're looking for Michael because they say it will be a reward. Apparently they all got killed. And the people that put down Michael Myers are the police officer in Hollenden. They put him down in his grave before, well, the revenge part actually came by. So let's just say that the officer just put him down in his grave, and they just stick a grenade bomb inside his grave, and they all thought he was dead. As for the negatives, well, Michael walks very slow like a zombie. He didn't walk as slow from the previous movies, but I know in part 4 he walks like a zombie. That's what a lot of people complain about. This female main character in the movie that got killed in part 5, she was in part 4 and she was awesome. They should have stick with her instead. She saved Jamie's life, and they were going like houses to houses and places to places just to avoid Michael. Non-stop action in the second part of the movie. And the kills was not over the top like part 5. Thank goodness for that. They should have stick with the part 4 kills. But yeah, great casting, great actors. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, number 3. Alright people, top 2. Number 2, Halloween 2. This was the very first Halloween movie that I saw when I was a kid. I saw this movie before the original Halloween. And a lot of people will put Halloween 2 as their number 1 list, and I understand why. This movie was non-stop action from start to finish. Non-stop horror, non-stop action. This was a phenomenal sequel, and I still consider Halloween 2 as my favorite movie to this very day. It all started from the last part of the first Halloween when Michael Myers disappeared. Laurie Strode was sent to the hospital. I think one of the downsides of it, and it's probably a nitpicking, that she was mostly like a side character. Mostly the main character in this movie is Michael Myers himself, and probably Dr. Loomis, which, by the way, also Dr. Loomis is one of the main characters in this movie, because in the original one, they only show him just a little bit, but in part 2, they show mostly Dr. Loomis and Michael. Which Laurie Strode, she's like a side character from the second one. That's probably the only nitpick about it. Negatives, walks like a zombie, kind of like part four. I think he walks like a zombie worse in part four than he did in part two. That's just my honest opinion. The deaths are graphic, they're awesome, especially in the early 80s. Again, practical over digital. The special effects are freaking awesome, especially in that time. I really like the kills of the two couples. This one guy got choked behind the screen. This one girl got her face burned in a hot tub of water. This other nurse, she got killed with Michael Myers with one hand, just raised it up with a needle. That was awesome. And the ending was great. I know there's really not much to talk about here, but as basic this movie was, sometimes that's what makes movies great. It's just the basics. And that's pretty much about it. There's very little things I gotta talk about part two. I'll let you decide for yourself. And number one, of course, quite obvious, the original Halloween movie. This movie is still a masterpiece. Even though part two is my favorite, but this is still a masterpiece, and I know why, because this was the one that created everything. Michael, in the beginning, there was no origin story. It was just showing him with the clown suit, just walking it off with a knife like this, all horrifying. Like, and he was sent to the mental institute. Didn't even say a word for 15 years. Dr. Loomis was driving to the mental institute to see how Michael is. He just flew off and just broke out of the place. I don't know how. Probably he broke his chains just like in the Rob Zombie movie, and went to Holiday and find Laurie. While Laurie was in school, Michael was just watching her from the outside, and the moment Laurie turned her head around and just looked back out, he was gone. He was just disappeared. And when Laurie just walking home from school, he was just first reappear at first, and next thing when they got closer, he was just gone. Like next thing he was here, next thing you know he disappeared. Halloween came and Michael one by one just came up to people and just slashing them. Like he didn't walk like a zombie. He was like ruthless, aggressive. Because I know in part two and part four they mostly seemed like walking very slow. He wasn't like that in the original. In the original, he was just like he just attacks you in a normal way of possible, like rush killing you and stuff like that. And he left like a lot of surprises, especially like the death scenes where Laurie Strode found this one person in the bed and there was like candles lighting. That is like just scared the Jesus out of her. And then this one dude's just hanging down like a swing, and that last part with Laurie, his battles with Michael at the end, and he just threw Michael off the balcony before he disappeared. Some people said that should have been like the perfect ending of Halloween. Me, I don't know. I think the perfect ending was the Halloween H2O. That's just my honest opinion. Other than that, that's about it. Halloween 1, masterpiece. Cash that off, fleek. Well, that is all my 12 Halloween rankings from worst to best. I know this was a very, very long rankings, but I'm just expressing my honest opinion. Tell me your thoughts of the Halloween rankings. Which one's the worst and which one's your favorite? Put it down on the list. And tell me which Halloween movies you want me to rank, or any horror movies out there that you want me to rank next. This is BioEX1. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, hit notification. Be part of the BioManiacs. Peace out. Have a great day, even folks. Cheers and happy Halloween. I'll see you next one.